Hey friends, we've all heard that line growing up. Because I said so. And many of us probably swore we'd never say that to our kids, but then, life happens. Sleepless nights, tantrums, a growing to-do list, and suddenly we find ourselves sounding just like our parents. This week, something hit me right in the chest. It's a real letter written to the Washington Post's Ask a Therapist column by a father who's caught in a quiet storm. Both he and his wife were raised in strict households. You know the kind, rules before feelings, obedience before opinions, and discipline served ice cold. But now, with a 5-year-old son of their own, they're divided. And the real mystery? Why two people from nearly identical upbringings want completely different things for their child. That's what we're unpacking today. And if this kind of deep dive into the emotional economics of our everyday lives interests you, don't forget to subscribe to Mr. America. We explore what most media skips. What really drives modern family dynamics, culture shifts, and unspoken tensions. Let's get into it. This dad, let's call him James, writes that he and his wife came from homes where you didn't challenge adults, and mistakes were met with harsh consequences. But now, his wife is leaning hard into a gentle parenting style, emphasizing understanding, conversation, and soft boundaries. James, on the other hand, feels that this leads to too much negotiation, and that their son may grow up entitled, lacking resilience. He doesn't want to recreate the coldness of his childhood, but also doesn't want to raise a kid who never hears no. The therapist, Dr. Joshua Coleman, gives thoughtful advice. But let's slow down, because this isn't just about James and his wife. It's a tension millions of modern parents, especially millennials, are experiencing, and it starts with this silent question: do I parent from pain or from fear? Let me explain. Research from the American Psychological Association shows a steady decline in authoritarian parenting since the early 2000s, replaced by more responsive, child-centered approaches. Gentle parenting is everywhere now, on Instagram Reels, TED Talks, and even PTA meetings. But here's where it gets interesting. A 2023 Pew Research report found that nearly 70% of millennial parents say they are actively trying to parent very differently than how they were raised. Why? Because many of them associate strictness with emotional neglect or lack of autonomy, and yet, the same study revealed that nearly half of those same parents worry that they're being too soft. That fear that being too gentle might create a generation lacking grit haunts people like James. It's not just a parenting debate, it's a generational trauma loop trying to break itself in real time. Pause for reflection, soft background swell, and if you've made it this far, maybe consider subscribing. We go deep into the why behind these tensions. Here on Mr. America, it's never just surface level. Here's the kicker. Psychologists have observed something fascinating. The same traumatic upbringing can lead to opposite parenting philosophies. Some, like James's wife, overcorrect. They don't want their child to ever feel the sting of shame or fear. Others, like James, believe discipline, done right, is the very thing that saved them, even if it hurt. So who's right? Well, that's the wrong question, because this isn't about right or wrong. It's about how we metabolize pain, how we either pass it on or try to protect others from it. Comment below. Do you feel like you're parenting, or thinking about parenting, from a place of reaction to your childhood? How have your own parents shaped the way you approach discipline or empathy? Studies from Harvard's Center on the Developing Child show that consistency plus warmth is the key combo. Not permissiveness, not harsh control, but predictable boundaries delivered with emotional safety. One study even found that children raised in homes with firm but kind discipline had higher emotional regulation by age 10, and were less likely to exhibit anxiety or behavioral issues. So maybe the real question isn't strict versus soft, but how do we build a home where rules feel safe, not scary? Coming back to James and his wife, the therapist suggests they sit down not to debate tactics but to explore their deepest fears and core hopes for their child. Not, how strict should we be, but, what kind of man do we want him to become? Because when parenting becomes a battle of rules, you both lose. But when it becomes a partnership of healing, that's when a child truly wins. So here's what I'll leave you with. Your childhood is not your blueprint. It's your soil. You can grow something entirely new from it, or repeat what already took root. The choice isn't easy, but it is yours. And if you've ever felt caught between how you were raised and how you want to raise, you're not alone. Comment below. Share your story, your confusion, your resolve. And if this kind of emotional deep dive gives you something to think about, subscribe to Mr. America. Because here, we don't just talk headlines, we talk heartlines. The stories shaping who we are becoming as a culture, one quiet decision at a time. Take care of yourself and take care of those you love. I'll see you in the next one.